Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and I have been eating a meat-only carnivore diet for 4.5 years now. When I first started eating this way, I knew nothing about cooking meat. I didn't know how to turn on a grill. I didn't know how to cook meat indoors. Like, unless you put it in a crock pot and walked away, I really didn't know anything about cooking meat. All my experience had been in making casseroles and baking sweets and following a recipe, and just the thought of trying to cook meat properly, especially a steak, was really overwhelming, and I couldn't seem to cook anything properly. Today I want to walk you through a few of my everyday cooking essentials, tools, accessories, things that I use in my kitchen all the time that help me cook meat properly and have made this entire way of eating so much easier for me. Before I get started showing you all my favorite tools and accessories, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, and that is Element Electrolyte Supplements. Having proper electrolytes on a carnivore or low-carb keto diet is really important because your body, when you're not eating carbs, is going to flush out a lot of those natural electrolytes. And that's why many of us that are on a carnivore diet feel best when we supplement things like magnesium, sodium, and potassium. Element was created by people who are on a paleo and low carb diet, and so they really understand the needs of what your body needs when you're eating this way. These little packets are convenient. I keep one in my purse, my travel bag, I throw one in my pocket, and it has the exact ratio of magnesium, sodium, and potassium that I need, and I can just throw it in my water bottle and feel great. Element has an offer for all my subscribers. If you go to the link below, you can get a free sample pack with any order, and that's gonna give you all 8 of their flavors. You can try them all out, see which one you like best, and you can get that free with any purchase by using drinkelement.com/LauraSpath. That's DRINKLMNT.com/LauraSpath. All right, let's talk about cooking essentials. First and foremost, you gotta have a way to cook your meat. You guys know I have a lot of outdoor grills, a lot of fancy equipment, and none of that is really necessary. Really, you can do everything you need to do on a simple cast iron skillet. I know there are a lot of people who are concerned about seasonings of cast iron skillets, buying one that's unseasoned, like, do that if you can find one. I personally was not that worried about it. Bought a cast iron skillet from Amazon. It's something that I use on a regular basis. I now season it with ghee and season it with animal fats moving forward, but I just bought one that was pre-seasoned and have not found any issues with it whatsoever. One of the things that I never knew I needed or realized how much I would utilize it is a prep tray. I use the prep trays from Neanderthal, but you really could go to Walmart or the Dollar General, anywhere, and just find some kind of plastic prep tray. I don't want to prep raw meat on my wooden cutting boards, number one. I want to be able to season it, get it all messy and sloppy. These easily go in the dishwasher. I then can dry off all of my meat. It's really important whenever you are cooking meat, you're starting with really dry meat, because then when you're putting it on a cast iron skillet or a hot grill, we don't want the meat to steam underneath. We want to create a nice good char. And so using a prep tray, some paper towels, and really drying off your meat before you cook it is going to be really important. We will also use this to season our meats. This is a set of 4 barbecue plates that Neanderthal sells, and then this is a prep tray. Along those lines, I really am surprised at how much I do use and love some kind of rubber glove. I will say I got them in the first place for filming purposes, because who wants to look at my hands like ripping up meat or seasoning meats? And I figured it was more like professional looking for me to use gloves when I'm filming stuff. But I really just have loved it. If I'm gonna meat prep or prep some chicken and then prep some beef for my meal, I can then prep the chicken really quick and not get chicken underneath my fingernails. I then can pull off the gloves. I still wash my hands, but then just really quickly rinse my hands, and then I can go on to prepping my beef. It doesn't take such a long process for me to wash my hands and dig out all that chicken from underneath my fingernails. I really have loved having gloves on hand. I use these way more often than Chris does. Another thing, I have been completely shocked at how much we use, probably the thing we use the most in our house that I never would have imagined, is a cookie sheet and a cooling rack. Literally, who would have thought, as a previous baker who was baking cookies constantly, that I would be using my cookie baking tools of a cookie sheet and a cooling rack literally every single day on a carnivore diet. This is where I put my meat when it comes off of the grill, when it comes off the cast iron, when it comes out of the air fryer. I set it on here. and the meat then can drip. You would think that like if meat is dripping, then you want it to sit in its own juices, but you really don't. All that's gonna do is several things. It's gonna make the meat kind of soggy and ruin the crust that you've created on the bottom of the steak. I want it to sit up here and have a little air underneath. It's gonna drip. It's gonna kind of reabsorb all of its own juices. Trust me, you need to let your meat rest when you're done cooking it. And this is the best way to do it. I have a large one that we use when the whole family is eating. And then I have been so surprised. I got a set of 2 of these little mini baby cooking sheets and cooling racks. And if I'm just doing 1 or 2 steaks for myself, if Chris is cooking just for him, like this is nice because you don't have to wash them as much afterward. If you learn nothing else from me in the last 4.5 years, it is to get yourself a cookie sheet and a cooling rack and rest your meat on it afterwards. It will make all the difference in how your meat turns out, I promise you. I'm gonna show you 3 quick items and then we're gonna get into my second most important item that you need to get from this video. Okay, first of the 3 is tongs. I like silicone tongs and I like metal tongs depending on what I'm working with. If I'm using my cinder grill, a non-scratch surface, the air fryer, I use the silicone tongs just so that this metal is not scratching up all of my good cooking surfaces. But for the grill, even the cast iron, using it on the cooling rack, this is kind of what we do. We also serve all of our food. I have some like little baby tongs as well that I use for serving. So having a variety of tongs has been very important for us. Next up, super quick, is just a good pair of metal meat skewers. Hey, if you like vegetables, you could put vegetables on here as well, but I use these for shrimp. And then really we do Parmesan pork nuggets on the grill quite a bit with these. We also do garlic beef with these chunks of meat. If you have some chicken that's like kind of in chunks and not whole pieces, it's just so much faster when you're trying to flip shrimp on the grill rather than flipping them individually and worrying that they'll fall through the cracks of the grill. Or even the oven, you can use metal skewers. They come in really handy. And I mean, randomly, those would, in my house, I would use those as a stocking stuffer, right? If you got a carnivore or a meat lover, that's a really cute little stocking stuffer. Okay, it took me way too many years to use this item, but it is an apron. I am notorious for splashing bacon grease on myself, meat juice on myself. Listen, I'm getting so much better. It has been very recent, but I've gotten so much better about using an apron while I am cooking. And then I'll tell you, I've even been just leaving it on during my meal because I probably, while I'm eating my meat, chicken, or even just eating a steak, I am known to drip meat juice all over my pants. This also would be a really cute gift. I've been given aprons as gifts before, and it's just a lot of fun. Okay, next up, the other most important thing. If you get nothing else from this video, you have to understand cooking temperatures in order to cook meat properly. And for that, you need a meat thermometer. There are a variety. This is, if nothing else, this will be a really cute stocking stuffer too also. This is a $15 to $20 meat thermometer you can get on Amazon. It's the Kaizen brand, which is my favorite. I have bought some of these for many, many people over the years. And this is an instant read thermometer. The point pops out and it turns on, and you just simply, if I'm cooking something, you can use this to cook something in the air fryer, on my super hot grill, like whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna check the temperature of meat. I truly believe that in this way of eating, you have to figure out what works best for you, and I very rarely tell you that you are wrong. Okay? But if you are cooking meat based on time and not temperature, you are wrong. I'm sorry, okay? It's the one thing I stand firm on. You will not have consistently quality cooked meat every time without understanding meat temperatures. There's too many variables to just say, I cooked something for 3 minutes on one side and 3 minutes on the other. Now, if you want to get fancy, or if you're going to be doing longer cooks, because with this, right, it's really cheap, nice and easy. You have to have one of these. You can poke meat with it, but you have to keep checking it manually. If you don't want to do that, if you're doing longer cooks, if you want to get fancy, if you want less guesswork than using one of these, then you can upgrade and use a Bluetooth meat thermometer. I talk about them constantly. This is the Meter Bluetooth meat thermometer. I originally found this because Chris was learning how to cook better steaks. It's been like 6 years now that I have owned this exact meter. This is a probe that goes into your piece of meat, We've used it to cook brisket, whole chickens. My Thanksgiving turkey will have one of these in it. Any piece of steak, it works in the air fryer, in the crock pot, in the Instant Pot, in the oven. If you're cooking a pork loin, a pork butt in the oven, anything really, it'll work on the regular grill, on the griddle. It works up to 527 degrees. So if you are cooking over direct flames on the regular grill, it might get too hot for this, which is why, right? You just lift and you poke and you pull back. But anything else, a smoker, like this hooks up to, I was trying to find my phone to show you. It hooks up to an app on your phone, but I'm recording with my phone. And it takes out all the guesswork. It tells you how long your meat needs to be cooked to be perfectly done medium, when to remove your meat from the heat, when to rest your meat. Then you're gonna rest your meat on your cookie sheet and your cooling rack, right? And it's gonna really just help you get a perfectly cooked piece of meat every single time. And so if you're looking for a gift for somebody, I would really recommend this. It was a Christmas gift that I bought for Chris many years ago, and now we've upgraded to where we have, you know, the block where you can put, like, say you're gonna cook 4 steaks at the same time, you can put 1 probe in every steak. You can do a couple pork tenderloins and a tri-tip. Like, you know, we definitely, it's been nice for us to use this, but they last a really long time if you take good care of them. So other than just not having it in direct flames, you really can't go wrong with that one. Another thing you see in every single one of my videos is a cutting board. So first of all, I love a plastic cutting board. I like one that has these silicone grips so I can kind of cut things up and it's not gonna slide all over the place. It has also a juice groove around the outside of it. It's really basic, goes in the dishwasher. If I am cutting up raw meat, I use a plastic cutting board. If I'm trimming a lot of meat and everything's gonna be messy and has a lot of seasoning on it, then I'm gonna use this one. And then if you've watched literally any of my videos, you know we eat on cutting board plates every single day. I am the biggest fan of Neanderthal. This is real wood. This exact cutting board we have been using, what's it been? Maybe 2 years now, because I was using Neanderthal before we even moved in this house. So it's been more than 2 years now. We just gave this one a nice fresh wax, but we wash it with water, a little bit of soap, and dry it right away. And every single person in our family eats with a wooden cutting board. Now, why do you want to use a cutting board for a plate? First of all, you don't have to. Do what you want to do. This is where I won't tell you you're wrong. You can do whatever you want to do. But the first thing is, it's actually better on your knives. Imagine you have like really good quality sharp knives, which are important on a carnivore diet, and you are cutting your knives on a ceramic or glass plate. It's really hard on your plates. It can scratch up your plates, and also it can dull your knives. Second of all, look how much meat this holds. I eat a lot of meat and I want everything nice and spread out. It's just, first, it's a cool experience, so I love that. I can fit more meat on it. Most traditional plates are too small for me to eat all the meat on it that I want to. And then also, it's gonna keep my meat warmer. I'm gonna rest it on the cookie sheet on the cooling rack, and then I'm gonna put it on here. And again, instead of putting it onto a icy cold plate where the meat is gonna start instantly cooling down, I'm putting it on this wooden cooling rack or wooden cutting board plate that's going to help retain some of that heat, and my food is not gonna cool down as quickly. So kind of like it. This one, you definitely need one that has a juice groove around the outside. I like this one because it has a little trough in it. There's also a code for Neanderthal in the comments where I believe you can get 15% off on any of their cutting board plates. I have a variety of sizes of their boards. They make custom boards. This would be such a fun Christmas gift. I will say, because they are real wood, you are paying a premium price for that. But let's say again, I've used this every day for 2 years, and you can see the quality and how that's held up. You can find much cheaper ones on Amazon that are bamboo. Bamboo, I don't know if you can tell here, I used this one for just a few months before I got the Neanderthal one, and you can see that it's splitting, and then also see all this discoloration. They really can mold. Not only do they split, you can't wax and oil them like you can on real wood because it's bamboo. It's just gonna dry out. So there are like multiple cracks down this, but also these are more likely to get food stuck in those cracks because it's gonna split and then it's gonna start molding. It's gonna contain bacteria in there. So it's really up to you. If you have something that's bamboo, it's cheaper up front for sure. But I would replace them like every 6 months at least, because it's really just, I keep this just as a demonstration to show people, but it's really just not as sanitary. And you do have a lot of like splits down this. So It just doesn't hold up as well. Next up, I want to talk about knives. I feel like I could make an entire video just about knives, so we're going to keep this pretty brief. There are two really types of steak knives that you can do. One is going to have a serrated edge, another is going to have a straight edge. I'm even surprised myself, I really do prefer the straight edge knives. This is a 4 steak knife. I'm not even going to pull them out, they're so sharp. A 4 steak knife set from Strong that I really like. That would be an investment for sure. This was a cheaper serrated Henkel's knife. When I'm eating steak, I want like a good heavy steak knife. And so that's what I was looking for there. I mean, in reality, when Chris is eating his lunch every day, and myself too, we take a fork and we use a big knife like this. This knife is a new product by Neanderthal. And then this knife is a Mac knife. It's the MAC, and I have everything linked down below, but this is a Mac chef's knife. And so really like something this size is what we tend to cut our meats with every day for our meal. If you only are gonna have one expensive knife, right? Knives, unfortunately, you get what you pay for, and it really doesn't come super cheap for knives, or they're just not going to be as great of a quality. But this is also part of the reason why we use these cutting board plates, is because we are cutting our food with a knife that's about this size every day, and that's hard to do on a regular plate. If you are only going to have one style or shape of knife, I would recommend that it's something like this. It's a chef's knife around this size. It's going to be the most versatile for you. If you don't have one quality knife, then I would really focus on that first. Okay, last two things. I'm going to talk about my vacuum sealer, and then I'm going to talk about my air fryer. Vacuum sealer, I never knew how much I needed a vacuum sealer. If you watch my early videos, I think I'll even say in there, like, I don't like meat that's been frozen and rethawed. I don't like the texture. Frozen meat has a very specific taste to it. And that's because I was always freezing meat in Ziploc bags. Even in freezer Ziploc bags, it's not getting the air out of it enough. When you freeze meat and rethaw it, it really changes the texture of the meat. And if you're using a vacuum sealer, it can keep the integrity of the meat. Like, it's a tremendous difference. I now can take a piece of meat, use a vacuum sealer, and then rethaw it later, and it tastes exactly the same to me. And I no longer have this like hatred with frozen meat. It's completely saved our budget. The investment of getting a quality vacuum sealer has really saved, because now I can buy more meat that's on sale, and I actually enjoy eating it when it's frozen or like when it's rethawed. So I personally just have the Food Saver brand. I think there's a lot of different, I would invest in a quality vacuum sealer. And then where I would save money, because what's expensive about vacuum sealing everything is the bags. I buy the bags from Amazon, and it's like, I think I get 100 of these for $11. And I can put 2 steaks in here. I put 3 or 4 chicken thighs. I put like 4 bratwursts. Like, I put everything in here. I put 1.5 pounds of ground beef portions in here and freeze it nice and flat. If I'm freezing like a tri-tip, a larger pack of meat, whole picanhas, I will use these gallon sizes, and then I don't remember the price. It was like, they're just so much cheaper than trying to buy the name brand rolls. So invest in a quality vacuum sealer, and then save by getting cheaper vacuum sealer bags. Okay, and lastly, I will talk about my air fryer. I personally don't cook steaks in the air fryer, but I know a lot of people love that. I use my air fryer for chicken wings, bacon indoors, pork nuggets for the kids, pork belly. I use it for, just like hot dogs. I love hot dogs in the air fryer. It's one of my favorites. Personally, I was looking for an air fryer that had the shelves, and that was not the bucket style. I feel like I can just fit more food in it. I will say though that the only, if you have 2 shelves, the shelf on the bottom tends to get dripped on, and it's not going to get as crispy as your top shelf, so you still do have to rotate them. Really, whether you prefer the bucket style air fryer or the shelf style is your personal preference. This one has a ton of features on it as well that's like supposed to rotisserie and dehydrate and all the things. I've really never used any of those other features. I just simply use it as an air fryer to make delicious meat nice and crispy. I hope this video was helpful and gave you some ideas of some cooking tools that might enhance your meat cooking experience and make things a lot easier for you as you're just working to live your best life. If you need support or you're looking for exclusive content and live streams, you can come find me on Locals. Thanks so much for watching.